going to do what I can to help other people. I'm still going to sort of do whatever brings just a small amount of satisfaction or fulfillment. I just stopped allowing myself to soul.
Awekenge, this is Mental Metals, hosted by Toto.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Mental Matters. I'm your host, Toto, and before we dive into today's incredible conversation, I have a small favor to ask. If you enjoy what you hear today, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also helps others discover the valuable insights we share every week. And if you find today's episode particularly inspiring or insightful, don't forget to share it with your friends, family, or anyone you think could benefit from it. Thank you for your support. It truly means the world to us. Now, let's get back into our conversation.
Something that I saw on your profile that made me think that I want to start my podcast is that word as I know your name, you put the nonchalant perfectionist. What do you call yourself there?
And yeah, first of all, I'm happy to be here, man. This is awesome. I enjoy being able to talk about some things I think I know something about. The nonchalant perfectionist. I've always thought of myself as somewhat of a perfectionist. I do want things to be as good as they can be, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to get things as close to perfect as I can. I'm very devoted to perfection in that way. So I am a perfectionist, but at the same time, I've learned that I'm also I found a balance between just not taking myself too seriously. So being nonchalant, not really caring per se, just not allowing setbacks and failures to get in the way of what I still want to accomplish. And so the nonchalant perfectionist just kind of blends those two ideas perfectly, where it's like, I'm going to work hard to do what I can to be as good as I can be, but I'm also not going to take myself too seriously and let it control my life. So that whole idea is just wrapped up nicely in a pretty good bundle for the nonchalant perfectionist.
It's quite interesting, just this thing what you said. It takes me back to an episode that I watched by Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom, whereas he not only said that, also Ryan Reynolds said that don't take life too seriously because someday you're going to die. Anyway, I'm actually paraphrasing that. And I feel like sometimes we actually take life seriously, and at some point you don't actually have the life, you don't actually enjoy life, and you focus on some things too much and not realize that you shouldn't take yourself seriously. And in the next 3 or 4 decades or centuries, you won't be here, you'll be dead. Life is not fun. I just wanted to clear things up in terms of asking you that question. This podcast is based on mental health, the conversation around mental health. Depression and suicide is quite things that are real, and people actually don't realize that some people actually deal with things. Especially, I want to touch on your early life and in terms of mental health, whereas you've spoken about depression. Looking back, when did you first notice signs of depression? Did it manifest during your teenage years?
That's a great question. Well, I can remember growing up. I grew up with 3 older brothers. I was the youngest of 4 kids. What that did for me was a lot of wonderful things. It made it easy. My friends were just their friends. So I hung out with them and their friends. I was able to watch how they interacted with each other and how friendships were made when I was in middle school and early in high school. I started to make my own friends and sort of just kind of notice. I started to notice that it seemed like everybody was over here doing their own thing. They seemed to understand. They seem to have a passion or something that they love to do. They seem to love, whether it was music or art or writing or whatever. I was on the outside looking in, not really able to understand what it meant to be happy and enjoy simple things. As I got older and tried to learn about myself and who I was, I noticed I found it really hard to have a passion for something. I found it very confusing as to how people could be passionate about this certain thing, especially watching my brothers, and they would do their own thing, love it, and I find a lot of satisfaction in that. I just didn't notice that in myself. I had a hard time understanding what it meant to be fulfilled, to be happy, or to feel some sort of satisfaction. I picked up on it from watching other people and having this longing for whatever it was that they had, whatever it was that they did, whatever it was that they felt. I just noticed within myself I didn't have that. I didn't really do anything about it. I just sort of noticed it. After I graduated high school, I was a missionary for my church. And while I was trying to offer service in the community I was at, it just kind of all culminated to where I was like, I can't keep living without understanding what it means to be fulfilled or to have satisfaction. That's when it hit me. I think I have some sort of depression. I was like, oh man, there's obviously something here that I'm missing. And it seems like without it, life's going to be pretty difficult. That was kind of the first time I picked up on it. Just noticing something that people had that I didn't have. And it wasn't in a way that I was trying to compare myself to them in a toxic, negative way, but just noticing, oh man, I think there's something else going on.
And I would say that myself also have, I feel like all of us have actually came across that bridge in terms of not knowing what it means to be fulfilled. And for someone also has always been disconnected from the world of not knowing what to do and what it is. Actually, I believe that at a young age, I had this idea that I don't have any purpose. I still feel it now, but I still feel it. What made me think like that in terms of looking up to other people rather than looking up to people that you are my peers in a way. At some point, it came to a point that actually, let me try writing something. Maybe I will find peace. Maybe I will find my own purpose. And again, quoting Chris Williamson, where he said that, actually, the things that you said, they will fulfill you. You have achieved them. Sometimes in life, you actually end up, as much as you keep on searching that purpose, thinking that it actually completes you, it will complete you. You're still in the same place when you got that. It's quite a difficult thing to do. When you actually find that fulfillment, how did you, in a way, respond to it? Did it actually complete you?
Yeah, I think it did. I think I found a sense of, it was like a sigh of relief. It kind of came after just being aware of the issues that I was having. Once I was aware of the problem, then I was able to try and to solve the problem. It was after the attempted suicide that I really started to take control of this, because it almost killed me, and I wasn't going to let it kill me again. I wasn't going to let myself get there. And I found purpose in the problem. I didn't know why I had felt that way for so long. I didn't know why I had a hard time just finding joy and happiness. That's stuff that would easily bring that sort of feeling. But I understood that I had to stop focusing on the why and start focusing on how I was going to still live a productive, healthy, and fulfilled life as I could. And so that kind of became my purpose. Despite this struggle, this pain, and this sadness, I am still going to do what I can to make people feel good about themselves. I'm still going to do what I can to help other people. I'm still going to sort of do whatever brings just a small amount of satisfaction or fulfillment. I just stopped allowing myself to sulk and sit in self-pity. Once that kind of clicked, once that exchange from pain to purpose took place, then I would say that's when things got better. I no longer fed into the depression anymore. It was something that I dealt with, something that I deal with, and then I was able to put it to the side and say, that may be true that I deal with that. I don't know why I deal with it, but I'm not going to let it stop me from trying. Like you said, you just try whatever you want to try. Try whatever you think might be whatever you might find fulfillment in. And then I just started to discover I like writing. I enjoy the process of writing. I love playing soccer. I love doing that. I play soccer 2-3 times a week. And I just, instead of wondering why I didn't find satisfaction and fulfillment in all these different things, I just said, you know what? I have to set that aside. And my purpose is going to be finding any small amount of fulfillment in anything. And I just have to try something. I just have to act and do something. So I took it, I think my response was, I took it seriously, but not too seriously. I really was devoted to living a fulfilled life, regardless of the pain that I felt. And it didn't necessarily make the pain any less. It didn't make the depression any less intense, but it definitely made the bad days a little better and the good days a lot better. And that was when things kind of shifted.
I actually resonate with your story a lot, because myself, when I had my own mental health issues, I realized that writing was the way. Being able to write my emotions, being able in the state of not knowing what are these feelings. How will I actually stop them? And I'm someone that didn't have any knowledge about mental health. Someone that wasn't actually within my community. We never spoke about mental health because it was a big stigma, and it's still a big stigma. And I wrote down, I didn't know what I was writing. I wrote down around 12 pages of poems. And if I could tell you that where those poems are old, because I lost them and decided to do what? I just write a book and be able to actually share my story with people. Because I believe once you actually start telling your story, other people will actually relate with your story. Instead, for example, today I am actually relating with your story in terms of finding your purpose. And another thing I just want to add is the fact of purpose and faith, something that actually was important that you mentioned. And something also, actually, I was quite editing some episodes yesterday and just sharing editing episode. And I was on the other side, I was listening to Chris Williamson and Stephen Barnett, whereas they spoke about pain and how pain can lead you to your purpose. And I actually related to it also because I myself come from pain, come from trauma. My own trauma actually made me be able to write a book, be able to start this podcast. Sometimes our trauma or our pain leads us. At that certain moment, we don't know that we have, I would say that a bigger purpose to play in this life, because being able to actually talk to you, you never know how many people will be able to relate to this conversation, would relate to the fact that, I was in that place. And through this conversation, they find it helpful. They find it very enjoyable in a way. So it's in terms of when it comes to pain and changing that pain purpose, it might be hard, but at the same time, some people actually learn from it. Actually, some people actually find, I would say, healing. Let me use that word, healing, because to different people, healing is different. And your profile, you mentioned that you never read and you never written before. So what does emotional resilience mean to you, and how did you decide to focus on this in your book?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's funny to me to think about the fact that I wrote a book because in high school,